The record of Adam and his immediate family in Genesis chapters 2 through 4 gives every appearance of an account intended to describe actual history. Some literary genres tend to be highly figurative and metaphoric, like poetry and parables. Others tend to be very straightforward, such as historical narrative. Most of the book of Genesis is unarguably historical narrative, such as the early patriarchal histories found in chapters 11 through 37, and the history of the later patriarchs, like Joseph, found in chapters 37 through 50. And the literature of Genesis chapters 2 through 4 matches these other passages very closely. In fact, Genesis chapter 2 is introduced by the same literary marker that introduces many other historical accounts throughout the book. Listen to the formulaic words Moses wrote in Genesis chapter 2 verse 4. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created. The phrase, "this is the account," Ele Toledot in Hebrew, can be literally translated, "these are the generations." This same phrase introduces lists and accounts of human generations throughout Genesis. It introduces the descendants of Adam in chapter 5 verse 1, Noah in chapter 6 verse 9, Shem in chapter 11 verse 10, Terah in chapter 11 verse 27, Ishmael in chapter 25 verse 12, Isaac in chapter 25 verse 19, Esau in chapter 36 verses 1 and 9, and Jacob in chapter 37 verse 2. Moreover, Genesis gives biographical details about Adam's life. For instance, we're told Eve became pregnant, and we're told the names of 3 of their children, Cain, Abel, and Seth. We're also told how long Adam lived, that he was 130 years old when Seth was born, and that he died when he was 930. This lifespan is much longer than human beings live today, but it's still obviously presented as historical data. So, in light of the narrative literary form of these chapters, the generational formula that introduces them, and the details of Adam's life, we can be certain that Moses intended Genesis chapters 2 through 4 to be read as history. In other words, he intended his readers to believe that Adam and Eve were real historical people.